What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today we're going to be checking out a Wolcen Lords of Mayhem melee build. This is going to be a bleeding edge build that we're going to be rocking a two-hander. So we're going to be sacrificing some survivability with this build by going with the two-hander instead of a one-hand and shield. But we're going to be doing so much damage, guys, that it's going to be pretty significant difference. Now again, if you were to go with the one-hand and shield, you would have a lot slower clear speed, but you would be a little tankier. This one, you can be a little squishy and sometimes you can get you into some trouble, but we're going to try and counteract that, guys, with some of our skills. So let's jump right in, guys. Let's talk about it. Alright, so let's start with the skills, guys, and we're going to start with the main skill that this is focused around, which is, again, bleeding edge. And yes, this is probably the most popular melee skill in the game, but since a lot of the older builds that I've seen really still focus on using unstoppable momentum, which was nerfed by adding such a big cooldown to it, that we don't use that. So we use increase area, skill of effect. We're gonna get reduction on our rage cost, weapon damage, crit chance score, which is going to be the main thing we're going for on this build, crit damage, and skill duration. So again, the reason why we don't use this, guys, is because of such a huge cooldown. It's really going to screw up the build, considering this is your main move, your main damage dealer. So again, even if you add a whole bunch of cooldown, it's still just not worth it, in my opinion. But if you want to go for it, hey, more power to you guys. So this actually is going to work really well when coupled with blood for blood. And the reason being, guys, is mainly because of a few things. So like right here, when cast, the skill grants a buff that increases your health regeneration per enemy that is hit by this skill. When you cast this on yourself, you're going to be getting a significant lot more health regen back per tick because of having this on you. So that's going to help with some of your survivability that you're sacrificing by using a two-hander. It's also going to, this is the big one though right here, guys, the conniption. So when you cast the skill, the area of effect deals damage based on your missing health. So whenever you're going against mainly like large mobs or some of the tougher enemies, whenever you start to take damage, if you have this cast on yourself, your damage increase is going to go up based on your missing health. So that is a big one right there. And then this is a couple of these just kind of help right here, guys. So unstoppable flesh, if enemies within the skilled area of effect are below 10 health, there's a chance that they will explode, dealing damage. Skill duration, increase ailment, which is not, again, a big one for us. But yeah, so that's pretty much gonna be it right there, guys. That's one of the big ones right there. And then couple that with Sovereign Shout as well, and this one's gonna help us out a lot with our rage generation on health, crit chance score, our global life leech, which again is gonna help us out, and then the attack speed and stuff is not as big of an issue, but so we're gonna get a buff to resistance. This is one right here that I actually have something in the passive skill that kind of goes with the weakness stacks, and so I'm just trying that out to see how well that works, but you could swap that out somewhere else. So this actually might be something that I would probably put on here that I was thinking about doing, and I'll show you why here in a second. So it's gonna stun enemies, 100% chance to stun, and then stun duration. And the reason why that actually might be worth sacrificing, maybe getting rid of the weakness stack and maybe your resistance, is because something in the passive, and we'll talk about that here in just a second. But these 4 skills right here with Wings of Ishmir, which is another one that I use, it's a rage generator, and I really like this right here. So a shockwave is created when you land that deals damage to the enemies, and the damage isn't really the part that's important. The shockwave that rolls out is going to give 100% chance of stun and a 1.5 second stun duration. And again, the reason why that's important, guys, is because the area where I land, those enemies are going to be stunned, and it's going to give them they're going to be stunned for a second and a half, but it's going to keep sending a shockwave that's going to stun all the enemies around them as well. So again, this is what I'm using, guys, on it, and it's more of just used for rage generator and the stun, and then I just go in there with bleeding edge and kind of terrorize everything. But again, I might actually end up swapping these out for the stun chance now that I'm thinking about it, but we'll second guess it later. Until then, guys, this is what I'm going to be using right here. I wouldn't really worry about the flight, because I was just using this mainly to level it up, but I would probably put Juggernaut on in its place in order to get some more survivability. So see, you're going to get, it does cost not very much, but the cooldown is 20 seconds, but you get a 10-second skill. It lasts for 10 seconds, and it's got a decent amount of absorption. So that being said, guys, let's move on. To our attributes. So you can see I'm focused a lot into Furiosity, and I've been putting a lot more into Toughness, because once you hit your 60% attack crit bonus, it actually starts to give you, I think it lessens the amount of increase you get, even though it's your primary skill. So adding more into Toughness is going to give us, make us not quite so squishy. But again, that's personal preference, guys. It's up to you. So this is just a glimpse at what we're doing here. And this is kind of up for debate. I need to kind of re-roll these, because early on in the game, I was adding more into agility and wisdom a little bit. So I would actually have a good amount more to put into Toughness or Curiosity if I wanted, if I were to reset my attributes, which I might do once I get to max level, and then maybe we can make another build talking about that. But I've kind of gone through this with a fine-tooth comb to try and get as much crit out of it for right now where we're at. So with all that being said, guys, let's move over to our passives. Okay, so here we are in the passive skill tree, and there's a few things, guys, that I would change right now. And so again, I'm focusing primarily on crit chance, and I did add a couple of occult ailment, and that's because my weapon has a lot of occult damage on it. And I'll show you the gear here in a second, even though it's really not that important, because I'm just using whatever I found to be best right now, and it's not like I've got any legendaries or anything like that that are kind of keys to the build. So again, we're focusing a lot on crit damage, and right here, I'm just going to go over some of the big ones, guys. This is in the soldier tree. The 60% crit chance score is going to be one, and then down here in the assassin tree, this is going to give us a plus 60% crit damage, and we're going to lose 30% damage. Now again, we're doing so much crit damage, guys, we're critting so much that it's to me, it is a good sacrifice, and it's worth doing. Still staying in the soldier tree, this is going to give us more rage per hit. And then over here, guys, in Warmonger, if you follow across, this is going to give us some global life leech. And we're going to grab some damage nodes along the way. And then we're going to come up here into Alistair, and we're going to get more damage, more crit chance. Again, we're just trying to get as much crit out of this as we can. And this is something that I like, and I wanted to go ahead and try. And this is going to give us 75% attack speed score for 3 seconds on crit hits. Like I said, we're critting. So if you guys wanted to like get rid of, so if you're not going to be using like occult damage, you can get rid of this, and I might actually get rid of it at some point. If you wanted to give yourself like a little bit more block efficiency, you could come here and get block chance and allow block for any weapon, and then maybe grab some block efficiency right here like I did right here, and blocking a hit right here provides resistance. You could go and do things like that. And so this is another one that I got right over here, guys, a big one, arms. In the arms Meister, I guess is what you call it. And this is going to give you 100% of weapon damage dealt to attacking enemy when their attack is blocked. And I believe on this one, guys, on our build right now, we have like a 31% chance of blocking. So we block at a decent amount. So now where I would want to go with this in the future is, remember I was talking about the stun duration or using the Sovereign Scream or War Cry. Remember guys, what I was saying with where I want to go with this in the future is I was telling you about using the stun. And so if you look right here, enemies that have impaired movement, slowed in stasis, stunned, or frozen take increased damage. So this is pretty much just going to be a 25% increase to any enemy that's stunned. And if you have the Blood for Blood with the Wings of Ishmir and your Sovereign Shout, you're going to be stunning quite a bit, and it's going to increase your stun chance. So you're going to be stunning a lot of enemies, so that's going to be a quarter of your damage increased right there if you get that. If you swap those nodes around and get that. And then I would like to move up in here and you can get some fire damage, but really I'd like to go up here into Child's Fury and get the passively generate rage instead of willpower. Now again, that's going to be later on in the build guys, but like I said, if you wanted to swap some of this around, you could, and then go and get these, and that would actually probably be more beneficial in the meantime. So this is where we're at right now though guys, as of level 68. So we'll come back and revisit this maybe once we hit level 90, but this is where we're at right here guys. If you want to take a screenshot, be my guest, and we'll just take a brief look at the gear. Alright guys, so again, nothing special. I'm just using a two-handed battle axe, and again I'm using some occult damage. Now I probably should have, I had that on with a different weapon that had a lot of sacred with shadow damage, and so that was kind of the reason for adding those nodes. But since we're using a bit of a different weapon, I did add shadow damage to it, but it's not enough really to make as big of a difference. So we probably should have gone for something that does more material damage, maybe primarily like if we were to come down here right here guys and do poison stack duration and poison ailment damage. Something like that probably would be more beneficial than to actually have the occult damage. So but again, like I said, most of this stuff guys is just adding ferocity, material damage. This one's adding occult damage, crit chance, damage overall, crit chance, adding to all attributes, things like that guys. Really just anything that's going to add mainly to whatever damage we're doing the most. So we're doing more material damage, so if I can get anything that can add material damage or crit chance, that's kind of, or crit damage, that's really what we're going for guys. So again, nothing fancy there, but that is pretty much it for our build. Now let's go ahead guys and let's just show you how well it works in game, and I will leave you with that guys. So thank you again so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video guys. Make sure to like and subscribe for more builds in the future, not just for Wolcen Lords of Mayhem, but for a lot more ARPGs and news of new games like New World and the Marvel Avengers game coming up guys. I will be going more in depth with them on my channel, so make sure to subscribe guys, and thank you so much, and I hope to see you again real soon.